All right, welcome everyone back to Changemaker TV. Very excited to have our next episode with the beautiful and just such a inside and out Farel Hruska. We're privileged to have you here, babe. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. You bet. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So this gorgeous lady, I remember the first time we met. Well, we'd already spoken on email, and we'd been organised to do some presenting together at the Bangkok, the AFC Fitness Convention. So we kind of chatted a bit on the email and got to know each other, and we hit it off immediately. And then, I mean, when I met you, it was just like I'd known you forever, and I think that's just a true representation of just the kind, beautiful soul that you are. And it's been awesome to continue doing the work that we were able to do together, you know, obviously in Bangkok, and then at IDEA with TRX. And yeah, just seeing what you do in your career and also as a mum is very inspiring. And that's why I wanted to, you know, bring you on today, because I think the conversation around women and mummies and the juggle of everything that we've got going on is so important, and that's your area of expertise. So let me give you a bit of a rundown of Farel's, you know, incredible background. I mean, she's 20 years experience in personal training, group fitness instructor and education, and she's been with FIT4MOM since 2002. Wow, long time.
Yes.
So she teamed up with Lisa Druxman around that program, Stroller Strides, which is now FIT4MOM.
FIT4MOM.
Yeah. And just become a leader in the company as the global fitness director, and managing all of the fitness related programs and initiatives with FIT4MOM, supporting, you know, thousands of instructors around the world, mostly in the US, and franchisees. And, you know, on top of that, she's traveled globally and presented at, you know, the leading fitness conventions around the world, from Thailand to Dubai to China, obviously in the US, and around the topic of pre and postnatal fitness, and has won the FIT4MOM Instructor of the Year award and nominated 4 years in a row for the IDEA Instructor of the Year award. Loads of other cool stuff on top of that, but I think that gives a really good background into the incredible experience that you've had and the success that you've had. So tell us a little bit about that journey. Like, wow, did you think when you first started in the fitness industry that this is where you would end up, you know?
No. I mean, I started in the fitness industry a long time ago, and had done everything under the sun, personal training, group fitness, all of it. And then my world got rocked. I think, Judy, you'd know this, you know, as anyone would. When you become a mom, things change, and it's not just the obvious where your body changes, but your head and heart changes as well. Yeah. And all the passion that I had for health and wellness, all the passion that I had for helping people live a really wonderful, big, bold, beautiful life physically and mentally and emotionally became so much more laser focused to this mom who I was seeing start to take themselves out of the spotlight of their own lives. Yeah. And so, you know, in addition to the passion that I've had at FIT4MOM and growing it as a fitness business, it's also been the realization that these moms not just need a program that's going to help them physically be strong and take care of themselves, but it's going to be something that's that needs to be created in their lives that or support them in a community and in a village in a way that they feel empowered, that they feel seen, that they feel like they matter, and that their world is not just about their children. Yeah. And I see it time and time again because it feels like such a noble thing to do. Let's just put our children ahead of everything in our lives. And in the process, we end up taking a hit.
Yeah, definitely. So that was that your experience as well, which kind of led you down to want to help other women around that area?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have 3 children, and it just started to become a slow progression each time I had another child, that it was their world was the most important part of my world. And even though being in the industry, I was always about empowering others, it was harder to take that same language and bring it on myself and say, this is actually something that you need to be doing as well. And so it took a little bit. Took some really amazing, strong, beautiful moms in my world, including my own, to say, hey, can you turn that one inward? So yeah, it's definitely been a journey for me as well, and it's something that I feel very, very passionate about. You know, it's the old adage that it's very trite, but you hear it all the time. When you get on an airplane, they say, put your oxygen mask on first. You cannot help others unless you are helping yourself first and foremost. And so that's been my journey for a very long time now.
Yeah. So what would you say has been the biggest thing that helped you? I mean, you already mentioned having that community, or having, you know, your mom and other women around you to support you, to get you to think about yourself. Would that have been the biggest thing that helped you? Was there anything else that happened that helped you?
You know what, Judy? You know what I would say my biggest lesson, my greatest teachers are my own kids.
Yeah.
They I came into motherhood thinking that I had all these things to teach them. There are all these learning points, right? Talking moments where something would happen in their life. I'm like, oh, this is I'm going to be able to get in there and teach them something. And the reality is, when I stopped and just observed them and listened, they had all the answers. And once I could see that and recognize it, and then realize that quite possibly I have the same thing and the same gifts, that was, and it continues to be this, my shifting point is them. And then also how they live their lives, because they're going to live it as a reflection of my own, whether it's in opposition or direct reflection. Yeah. So to see them, and sometimes some of the things that they say to me, like, you know, situation. Wow, thank you, 13-year-old. It's been quite a journey, but yeah, they're I think our greatest teachers. Yeah,
definitely. And as the saying goes, what you see in others is what's within you, and
yes,
too. So they've taken on something.
That's true.
Like you say, either they've rejected them or they take.
Yes.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think that reframe around, it's not just about us teaching them, but what can we learn from them? Because I think a lot of the things that we once had as a little wee one, you know, fearlessness and just creativity and intuitive things, we had that and we've learned not to.
Yes.
So it's very refreshing to, obviously me with my 2-year-old now, to see that and to watch that and to bring that kind of back out in us.
Absolutely. I mean, you see the passion in her little eyes when she's moving through her world. Isn't it incredible? I mean, she doesn't have a filter. No. She doesn't see things based on experiences or what she's been told to see. She sees them just completely wide open. Yeah. Something that we've lost, but wouldn't that be wonderful to bring back in?
Yeah, definitely. So what is the, you know, dealing and working with women, you know, day in and day out, what is, I guess, the biggest challenge that is presented to you through working with other women? Is it the same? Is it different?
You mean, what do I think the biggest challenge is for them?
Yeah, for them.
Yeah. I believe the biggest challenge is that most women, well, let me back up. I think that women in general, and I say this with all the love in my heart, we are very complicated creatures, and we tend to overanalyze and judge everything that we do, say, think, feel, wear, eat, everything. Yeah. And so when you add to that inner dialogue, becoming a mom, and the shifts that happen in our body and our mind and our spirit, there becomes this even more complicated web of inner dialogue. And so when we're training women, and especially moms, to get at the heart and the head first before the physical piece is critical. Because if her head is not in the right spot and she's not thinking in a very healthy, clear way, then it's going to be very difficult to make the physical changes that she might want to see. Because in her head, she's already thinking, well, I should be a certain size. I should be a certain weight. I should be able to do X, Y, Z. I should have a clean house. I should have a child that doesn't lose their mind at the grocery store. Well, I should be able to wear my pants right side out. I don't know, small things like that. And the reality is, if we can just help these moms stop shoulding on themselves, take the should word out of their vocabulary, realize they're doing the best they can. That's probably be the biggest step, but it's a big step. It's not an easy one. It's not one where they just flip a switch and they're like, yeah, I'm good. I'm great. Yeah, I'm fine. It's a daily struggle, but it's one that's the most important.
Yeah, definitely. I have to agree wholeheartedly. Through all my years of being in the fitness industry and training and developing all people, all different types, it's the thing that led me down that whole track of moving into self-development, because I agree. I think the same thing. If the mindset, okay, if you want to tie that into the heart as well, if that's not where it really needs to be, then the physicality, the physical side of it's gonna, the body mind connection is not there, and that's huge. That's huge. So, what is it? What kind of advice? Where do you start? What would you?
I'd say just start. And I know this sounds really basic, but just put your foot on the gas pedal. What one thing, however small, can you do today, or even in this moment, that's going to put you in going in the right direction? And oftentimes that has to do with changing habits, whether they're eating habits or knee-jerk thought habits, where you in the past have a situation would happen and you're aware of like a judgmental thought that comes into your head. The awareness of that, and then shifting it, maybe even having a do-over moment where you realize, hey, I've been doing this for a while. I've been putting myself down in this space for a while. I'm going to shift that thought. Or in the past, when I'm frustrated, I reach for cookies. I'm going to be aware of that, and I'm going to realize that's not served me, and let's make a different shift. I'm going to reach for the phone, and I'm going to call my friend. Whatever the shifts might be, just start putting your foot on the gas pedal, and then don't floor it. Meaning you don't have to do all of it right now. Have patience and persistence with yourself, and have some grace with yourself. I think that's the biggest thing, is that we tend to start on this path and then think it has to be here, as opposed to this gentle cycle. We were talking earlier, Judy, but we don't have to see the end zone just to start. And I was sharing with you that my daughter is taking a course in school right now, and she was feeling frustrated because she didn't know how she was going to get to the end result. And the teacher said, well, when you climb a tree, you don't necessarily start climbing a tree and know exactly where you're going to head to get to the top of the tree. You climb up to the sturdiest branch, the easiest one to begin with. You sit on it and you look around and go, okay, now where else should I go? What's the next step? Well, that's really what all of this is about, right? It's how we progress in anything, whether it's career or mindset or physicality. It's you go to the first doable step. You feel that success. You look around and go, okay, what else does it look like I can do? Where else can I go from here? We don't have to know the plan yet. It's just take the step, have some grace, have small celebrations, because success begets success.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love that. And it's so incredibly true. And I think the biggest thing that, as also we spoke about prior, was that's the problem. People are not just taking that step. We think that it's got to be perfect. We've got to have a clear thing. Yeah, of course, it helps to have some clarity of where you're headed. You don't necessarily need to know the steps, right?
Right.
And the best way to get anywhere is to take the first step, get moving. Yeah. So that's great advice. And I also like dialing into the thoughts that we have, the unconscious actions, behaviors that we have. Like we said, reaching for the cookie, when do we really need that? Like, what's really going on there?
Yes.
How am I feeling? Perhaps is it because I'm feeling something that I'm not really connected to? And changing that,
Right. Because those can be ingrained in us.
Yeah, totally.
Not even aware that that's what we're doing, and quite possibly handed down from generations.
Yeah. Right.
So that awareness is that first piece.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. Bringing the unconscious out into the awareness, and then that helps to make those changes. So then, in terms of the biggest challenge for you as a mum, what's that been? Has there been one big one, or has it been a multitude of them?
Yeah, I mean, as my children have grown, I feel like the challenges just keep morphing. They just keep changing.
Yeah.
I think the biggest one that I was struggling with, especially early on, was this concept of balance.
Yeah.
Thinking thinking that actually was a thing.
Yeah.
And trying to, just keep fighting for that concept of balance. And I used to have this idea in my head that it was, similar to, people always say, well, I have a lot of balls in the air. I'm juggling a lot of things. And someone once told me, and I'm going to say, forgive me for not remembering who it was, because I'm not going to claim this as my own, but instead of the concept of juggling balls, which would lend itself to thinking you're going to drop something, someone was explaining to me, think of it as you're a circus performer, and you're spinning the plates on the sticks, right? And that when you're spinning those plates, you can spend some time on one of the plates and walk away from that plate and realize it's still going to keep spinning. And you can go over and spin another plate. And the concept is that we have all these things in our lives that need our attention. And it could be, our children, it could be our work. If you're in a relationship, that one needs some spinning, even though sometimes we forget that piece of it.
That's true.
Right? And then in whatever else you have in your life, whether it's your own growth, your own education. And the reality is, if you spend some time, for example, with your children, and really nurturing them and taking care of them, you know that they're going to be okay for just a little bit, so you can step away and start nurturing and taking care of your work. Doing that, stepping away, realizing, trusting that you've spent some time there, that it's not just a constant balance of everything. I found myself trying to do everything and feeling like I did everything not very well.
Yeah.
As opposed to compartmentalizing. And I think as women, that's not one of our inherent gifts, is to compartmentalize.
Yeah.
We tend to feel like we have to do everything at the same time and almost pride ourselves on it. Look at everything that I'm doing at the same time. Well, we might not be really good at that, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I like the spinning plate analogy as well. It's great. And I'm totally in alignment with what you said. I feel the same, and it kind of, I got it as well not so long ago, but that exact thing, there's almost going to be something that is out of balance, because it's achievable to have everything going at optimal level. So kind of like the seasons, I guess, it's, different seasons in different contexts of life. And sometimes you got to spend more time on the relationship and invest in that. And like what you said, if you really put in the groundwork and got that plate spinning, then you know that it's okay to then kind of move off and take care of some of the other areas.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think one of the things that us women and mums don't do so well is that self-care, self-love, like really just doing nice things for ourselves. And have you found that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that sometimes we think that it's got to be big, grand events, like I'm going to get a massage every week. Well, no, you're not. Yeah. And that's okay.
I've said that for years. I
know. It would be delightful. Yeah. But no, it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that we give up on taking care of ourselves. And in an immediate sense, that we have to start with the way that we think about ourselves. I mean, it's sharing that kind of love that you would share. Why wouldn't we share that same kind of love and acceptance and unconditional, outward, just overflowing love that we do for our kids? Why is that just limited to them?
Yeah.
Why do we turn it on ourselves and say, well, for us, we hold ourselves to a much higher standard and we should. Yeah. It's sort of like when you're watching your children figure out how to walk. Usually you're pretty encouraging you're probably not degrading their performance. You're probably not judging whether they're doing it right or not. Or, boy, that didn't look really good. You see how that other kid looked at you? Like, they'd never do that. We'd never do that. Nor would we ever say, look, honey, I just don't think it's going to work for you. It's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Never. And yet when we're trying something new, or we're stepping out on a ledge, or we're doing something scary, immediately it's just this judgment of, did you see what that looked like? And did you see, can you believe that you're not doing this yet?
Yeah.
And it just doesn't make any sense. And what we're doing actually is showing our children how they quite possibly could move into doing it the same way as you as they get older. They're watching.
Yeah, totally.
And,
every move, every
yep.
expression.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, taking care of ourselves goes much deeper than just, did you get a pedicure?
Yeah.
It's how are you internally taking care of yourself? Because that's a big deal. And like I said earlier, it's a weird one, because when you become a mom, it almost feels like it's the most noble thing to do is to put yourself on the sidelines. I always think of the movie, The Lion King. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but it's an older one. But when they present Simba to all of the land, and all the animals bow down, right? It's sort of like, your baby comes into the world, and it's that kind of, this is it.
Yeah.
This is the only one that needs our attention, right? And let's all bow to the child.
Yeah.
When the reality is, that's not where our attention needs to go first, because they're watching.
Definitely. And I can relate to this as well.
I know you can. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a challenge for me, and I had recently posted about it, actually, just saying, I realize what I've been doing and the things I've been saying to myself, and not wanting that for Brooklyn. I don't want her saying the things that I'm saying to myself, the way that I'm not happy with myself, but when I'm not accepting every part of me, I'm telling her that that's okay, not, to not accept her as well, which is, of course, is the last thing that we want. So the only way we can get them to really fully embrace who they are is to do it ourselves.
Exactly.
And how have you been? Like, have you been successful in that? Is it still a daily?
Oh, yeah. It's a constant. We hold ourselves to such a high standard.
Yeah.
And so while that's great, because that could propel us to levels of success that are wonderful, it also could be our biggest, enemy. And so, on a daily basis, but it's definitely one of those that through time I've gotten a lot better at, and I'm able to catch myself in the moment a lot faster than I had previously. Like, wait a second, check yourself here, and to really stop and allow myself to be human in those moments. Yeah. Recognize that, I'm tired, or maybe I'm just hungry, or maybe I'm just, what is it, as opposed to just going deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole of judgment or whatever it might be. That, the more, it's like anything else, Judy, and this, like when you're training the human body, the more you move in a certain way, the better at it you get. The more you practice certain things, the better at it you get. Well, your brain is the same way. And it can go either way. The more you think negative thoughts, the more you judge, and the better at that you're going to get. Yeah. The better at judging, the faster you're going to get there. The faster you're going to make poor decisions. And so the more that we can start shifting that and help our clients and our friends and family start shifting it and realizing that they have the power to change those negative thoughts, those judgmental thoughts, those actions that limit us, the better at that we're going to get.
Definitely.
I think that needs to be our next movement, right? As women, is just to help each other practice healthy thoughts and healthy behaviors, so that we end up, those become our norm versus the ones that have been taking us down.
Yeah, definitely. And I've always found it quite interesting, because we find it really easy to go in and work out our bodies, not even necessarily for everybody.
Well, right.
A big focus, because it's what you see. You don't see that. You don't see that. It's so the importance of it almost, it has been put on the back burner. And
it's a really good point.
More and more, as coaching becomes more and more accepted, and having a coach or therapist becomes also more accepted, that it's a muscle. It needs to be trained. There needs to be awareness, and there needs to be a practice. Just like when we go and work out daily, we work out our mind daily and be really in control of it, not just let it run its course and do its thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, love it. So what is it that keeps you driving? What is it that keeps you kind of motivated and working towards what it is that you do? Excelling and helping and.
Yeah, honestly, it's to see little light bulb moments. Sometimes we tend to think of being inspired by something that's just so huge and massive, and the company that we've built has become definitely something that's motivated me. But along the way, it's been those little moments where I look in somebody's eyes and I see something shift, where they go, "Oh, I get it," or that I realize now what I've been doing, or just physically doing something that they in their head never thought that they could do, and they look at you like, what just happened? You just did a full push-up. That's what just happened. And it's those kind of moments that if you're not really aware of your the present moment, you're going to miss those. And so I actually was just presenting at a conference a couple weeks ago, and it was, I was using resistance bands. It was about realigning our body. It wasn't anything mega deep, but you know me now, I tend to go deep fast. And so this one moment where I just shared something, it was just, anatomical, but I tied it into, why we do what we do and how that affects us as human beings and how we move through the world. And this woman just kind of looked at me, and you could almost hear it, ding. And afterwards she came up to me and she said, that's why I'm here. I didn't know why I was at this conference, but I needed to hear that. Yeah. And not for my clients, but for me. And it was just like, it just went right down deep into who she was. And it's those kind of things, that's not going to be a headline at a conference. That's not going to be a headline of an article. That's not going to be, a news story. But I know that she's walking away different. And it's that kind of stuff. Whether it's an interaction with somebody at a grocery store, or, someone at a conference, or, because of a news story that I did, it's that kind of stuff that keeps me going. Yeah. I want to know that people are walking through their world with a slightly different perspective, even if it's not earth-shattering. It's just going, oh, okay, I see that now.
Yeah, because sometimes that's all it takes, right person, right place, needed to hear something that you said, and it's that then ripple effect that has, which you may not even realize.
No,
and it's doing its thing. And if we're able to, or if you're able to do that consistently, which I'm sure you have been, the impact that has.
Yeah.
It's
very life-giving.
Yeah. And what is it, do you invest in your kind of own development? Is there anything specifically that you've done in terms of your own growth, whether that be as a parent or just as a person?
It's definitely been more of an organic journey, towards individuals, and thought processes or meditations or things that I know that either that are really uncomfortable, which means I know I need to do it, or really speak to me because they speak my language, like my friendship with you.
Yeah.
It's those kind of relationships and those kind of experiences that's been more of an organic journey of my progression. Nothing really formal. But the more that I can take the time to quiet, the more I tend to learn, and the more I tend to realize how much I don't know. And that's part of that journey as well.
Yes. I very recently had that same realization.
Did you?
I know nothing. A very humbling experience.
Yeah.
Do you spend much time meditating? Is that kind of one of your daily rituals, or?
You know what, I do, but I do on a very small scale.
Yeah.
And I don't believe necessarily that that's the right way, and I feel like I should probably slow down and do it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that intentional quiet as opposed to just zoning out on, you know,
Yeah.
social media or,
Yeah.
you know, it's intentional around quieting the mind. And sometimes that can be scary for people, just to slow down and be quiet. I think we're getting a little
I think
choppy.
yeah.
Okay, I think we're back.
Yeah. So you're just saying that sometimes it's difficult for people to take that time, right?
Yeah, because yeah, well, not only that, but you know, you slow down and get quiet, and it's sort of like, well, what am I gonna think? What am I gonna realize about myself? And sometimes it's much easier to just stay busy.
Yeah.
Because quieting the mind means that, you know, things could come up.
Yeah.
And that could be scary too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, definitely encourage people to go there, because it's not as scary as what we think, right?
Yeah, true.
So story. And if we're not kind of dealing with it and bring it to our conscious and into our awareness, then it's going to stay there.
This is true. This is true.
Bring up problems for us. But so cool. Any last bits of advice that you would give mummies to be, any women out there, in terms of whether it be around health or career or just finding their own peace?
Yeah. Well, I think that more than anything, it's yeah, especially for moms, you were here before your kids were. You were here before the relationship that created those children. Don't lose sight of who you are, because your role to play on this planet is unique, and no one else can play it. So please don't lose sight of the importance that you have, and we need you. We need you specifically in all of your glory, not a shelled version of you know, who you were or who you are. Don't deny us, the rest of us, the big, bold, brilliant version of yourself, because we need you. This world needs you.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, beautiful. Great words of wisdom. So how can people find you and get in touch and follow you and check you out and see what you're up to?
Yeah, well, I mean, just in social media, check me out on Instagram and Facebook. Farel, it's Farel, you can see on the screen.
Yeah.
And then FIT4MOM is our company, so FIT, the number 4, and then mom.com. And just stay in touch. I'd love to hear about your journeys. I'd love to hear about if I can help in any way or support you in any way. That would be delightful. And I'm kind of on the circuit. I'll be in Bangkok, I'll be in China, I'll be all over the place speaking at conferences. So stay in touch.
Reach out, get in touch.
You bet.
Absolutely gorgeous. I adore you, and I, as you said, you know, I feel like speak the same language. I'm like, she's like in my head, you know, what I'm thinking before.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah. It's unique, it's beautiful, and I'm so blessed to have, you know, been able to create this relationship that we've got. And I love seeing your beautiful girls and seeing your journey.
Yeah, same.
And I'm looking forward to seeing also what's next for you.
Yes. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you so much for joining us.
You bet. You bet. You take care.
Yeah, see you guys soon.